What's up, West Side? Steve Leslie, YSNLive.com. The home of Chaney Cowboy football all season, and awful proud of it. Coach's Corner with Coach Amill, sponsored by the Baird Brothers, playoff style week 2, as Chaney will invade New Philadelphia. We will talk to Coach about that. But first of all, thanks, Coach, for joining us again another week.
Thanks for having me, and I'm happy to be able to be here another week.
Keep rolling. We love that. So we dive into last week. You go to Coventry, Coach. I was able to watch the game. Some of the things, the first thing that jumped out to me that you talked about, that was a really good football team. You played, very talented, very well coached, and a good running back. Talk about them a little bit.
Yeah, just watching film and talking to a couple coaches, I knew, they were a well-coached team. They were going to be disciplined. And that running back is impressive. He doesn't seem like he's the fastest, but he plays faster, what you see on tape, and very strong, and I got that from a few coaches that played against him. So, going in, they were pretty much what I can expect them to be. Well-coached team, hard nose, and just, ready to play some football.
They definitely came out ready to play. So did you. Put the ball on the ground an awful lot in the first half, and we've talked about that. But, Coach, I'm going to say this. I watched the game. They went up 7-0, and I saw a team that responded after they got punched in the mouth. And that's a sign of a good football team when you can go on the road and get down and get through some very tough, adverse situations down 7-0. This team regrouped in a big way. You had to be pleased with that.
Yeah, I was. I was very pleased with the way, and it's something that we do in practice. We try to work on turnovers, whether it's offensively, defensively. You see in the Fitch game when they blocked the punt, just a kind of sudden change and try to take away that momentum. And offensively, we were able to do it. We just finally held on to the ball and put a drive together, was able to punch it in. That changed the momentum of the game.
Yeah, with Coach Amill, West Side, Coach's Corner, Chaney Cowboys style, sponsored by the Baird Brothers. Proud of that. We'll have all the action Friday night, YSNLive.com at 7 o'clock from New Philadelphia. Thorny will be on the call. Here's what I'm going to say, Coach. The game was tied 7-7. I saw a new football team that was rejuvenated after tying it up, and I think it was 7-7, but I'm going to go to a play. The offensive line was starting to get some movement. The defense was starting to fly around the ball. But one of the guys I like to play for you, number 7, Darius Humbert, is a man. He had a run there. I don't remember the time, but I think it was tied. But I remember this run. He broke about 5 tackles. It was an 8 or 9 yard run that should have been a loss of 2. And from that point on, the Chaney Cowboys totally dominated the second half. You have to be proud to go on the road, get your first playoff win, and get this team ready into the second round.
Yeah, no, I was very proud. But that was a big play for us, and Darius came off the bench fresh, just doing what he was supposed to do at practice. So he didn't play for a half and had a chip on his shoulder. Said that third quarter, we kind of got the ball rolling. We were able to go down the field and score, and we got the ball again in the fourth quarter and put him in the game. And Darius is a big kid. He's 6'2", 225. He runs good, very athletic. So with those fresh legs and just having that chip on the shoulder from being down all that time, he got in and he did. I mean, he gave us a spark, after that big touchdown pass that, once that, no stopping us after that.
Yeah, with Coach Amill, Coach's Corner, they'll go to New Philadelphia. We'll get into that as the second half. The Cowboys dominate Akron Coventry for a 21-7 victory. The defense was outstanding, Chris, much of the night. Here's one of the things I noticed in studio the last 2 nights of the games last week. I wanted to get your thoughts. New crews that are put together. So these guys are not working with one another. Mike Ackelson and Nick Zeronis in the audible call, it mentioned several times, it seemed like there were a lot of penalty flags in the playoff round last week. Your thoughts on getting new crews together? And I know they're just like coaches. They're just like players. This has been a crazy year. Did you think penalty-wise there were some that were not there?
Our game for the most part, I thought was called pretty good. I think there were more penalties that weren't called. In the first half of our game, their D linemen were going down and we're just grabbing our legs and holding on and rolling, trying to tackle our guys. And we were screaming for a defensive hold, which we finally got one. And the crews are different, but I guess it's like anything else. Like each person has a job. So if you just focus and do your job, everything should work out. Different crews, but there's roughs that's your job. Umpire, if you're the back judge, if you're the line judge, that's where you are. That's where you've been all year. As long as you go out and pay attention to your side, and I'm a guy, I always talk about Jerry Fordham, you know what you're going to get from Jerry Fordham when he roughs, so you get used to it. So with these guys, I guess it's just getting used to it. Like who doesn't call what. Sometimes it is guys are a little nitpicky, but we didn't run into that with our game this past week.
Well, that's good to hear. We're with Coach Amill, Coach's Corner, sponsored by Baird Brothers. West Side style, big one for the West Siders. Chaney's going to go to New Philadelphia. We'll get into that game here in a second. But, Coach, I'm going to say this. I look at your schedule. Every team I look at on your schedule continues to do good things in the playoff rounds. So, again, this is my opinion and my opinion only. I look at some of our rankings and where some of our teams were rated, and when these coaches, I still don't think that this area gets the respect it should in football. What do you think of that?
No, and we don't. And a lot of it I say is because we just don't have a lot of conferences, around here. So you're studying and traveling. So us, for instance, granted we're in the Still Valley, so we get to play a Mooney and a Ursuline, who are, state powerhouses. Whether they're up and down, you have program, you have a tradition, and the same with East. They got rid of football, brought football back. But when you throw in a Canfield and you throw in a Fitch and you throw in these teams, the teams in our division that you play against, with Akron Coventry, they're in a conference with Streetsboro, who's undefeated, and they're in a conference with Woodridge and different people. So if you get to beat up on some of the teams in your conference, week in and week out, you're going to win 5-6 games and put you in the playoffs, computer point wise. Where with us, we're constantly looking for games and trying to find people, and we end up scheduling up quite a bit, because of it. But like you said, I mean, we open up with Ursuline. They're in round 2. Week 2, I can't remember our schedule. Week 2,
Holland, yeah.
Holland's still in the playoffs. Fitch is in the playoffs. Mooney's still in the playoffs. Canfield still in the playoffs. Out of our 6 games, East is the only team that lost. And the score was close. At the kind of got ugly at the end. And Brian said he just didn't have the numbers to fight. But even being a team from Youngstown and building a program and having to play Steubenville in round 1, that's a lot. But to have 5 of the 6 teams that we played in round 2, we don't get the respect. We don't get looked at the same. But like I said, not having a conference, makes it a little tougher, because now we're looking to schedule games. And if we get in the playoffs, then you hear people say like, oh, well, it's not fair, because they're this division and they play up. So when they get in the playoffs, well, I mean, that's just we do what we have to do. If we get in, watch out. If we don't get in, you're lucky.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that has to excite you as a coach. It has to have you prepared to go play New Philadelphia. You're more than prepared with the teams you've played. We're with Coach Amill, Coach's Corner, sponsored by the Baird Brothers. Let's dive in. New Philadelphia, Coach. Tell the West Side what to look for when you guys head on down for this big football game.
Man, they're a throwback football team. You don't see too many teams with a tight end fullback playing smash mouth. You watch the Steubenville game, who they beat 31-0, and they ran ISO, like, just your lead back, tailback coming, stop us if you can kind of team, and they probably ran that like 50% of the time. So, I mean, they're a throwback, hard-nosed, well-coached team, and even their passing game reminds me a lot of the playing days at Mooney. You run a ball 20 times and you're going to pass because people start to fall asleep. To be awake on the back end, and we just have to be physical up front, because I mean they're a well-coached team. They got some big phillies. They're physical, and they're just coming to run a ball at you and stop us if you can.
Well, the Cowboys will be ready. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Talk about your team a little bit. Your kids, they have to be excited about this. This is all new for them. I mean, and you make the playoffs, you get a win, you go. I tell people it doesn't matter. You're going on the road. You've been going on the road all year, so these kids will come ready to play, no doubt in my mind. But talk about this week. How excited have they been as a group?
Oh, my boys have been very excited. You know, I mean, it's been a fun week at practice. They've been getting after it, very competitive. Spirits are up, and like you said, I mean, we've been on the road all year. You know, I think we had a locker room access for 2 games. You know, we're using the bathroom and porta potties and different things. You know, halftime it's like Pee Wee football. We get to sit in a corner zone. So we've been there, done it. So going on the road, you know, for us isn't that big of an issue. But we're healthy. You know, and guys are getting ready. You know, we have, you know, Delshawn still has a cast on his hand, so you know he's not at quarterback. This Jason is and played tremendous. Deli has been solid for us defensively. You know, we got to get some good runs out of him here and there. He blocks well at running back. You know, and just the experience. You know, Delshawn and Darius Humbert are 2 players that started for me defensively at East as sophomores that got to play in a playoff game. So everyone else, this was their first playoff game. And for everyone, this was the first playoff win, you know, for them. You know, we played Gerard week 1 and we went down week 1. So for Delshawn and Darius and the rest of the guys, you know, not only to get into the playoffs, but get your first playoff win. I mean, it was big and it's exciting.
That's awesome. Congrats on the first win. Obviously, we're in the next week. Cowboy fans will have it for you Friday night, 7 o'clock from New Philly. Going to be a good one, but I'm telling you, folks, hop on ysnlive.com/Chaney. Check them out. It's a good football team. They're fun to watch, and they're going to bring home a big W Wednesday night. Coach, I hate to ask this question, but I'm going to do it again. And the answers are good. They're the same answers, but for the last couple weeks here, the things have been good. Key to the Cowboys bringing a nice win home back to Youngstown against New Philly.
First and foremost, we got to be physical. You know, we gotta win the battle of the trenches. And the only other thing we have to do is just take care of the ball. You know, we have 8 fumbles last week. We lose 5 of them, and to still win that game 21-7. That's a testament to how well we played defensively and not drop or get frustrated. But if we can just take care of the ball and we win the battle of the trenches, you know, it should be a fun bus ride home.
It's going to be a fun bus ride home. I'm going to say it. I'm confident. DJ, Brian, Scott, myself, all of us at YSN love covering the Cowboys and your football team. We had a blast with those 2 on last week with the player profile. Next week, after you get this big win, we'll do more player profiles. But again, we wish you nothing but the best. You, the staff, and those kids are earning a ton of respect back in the West Side. And I know the fans on the West Side are proud of Chaney football, but they need you Friday night. YSNlive.com, limited tickets. Hop on, watch Coach Amill and the boys go to work and get that W Friday night against Philly. So, Coach, best of luck. I love what you do. Proud of who you are and how you represent Chaney, and best of luck on Friday night.
Thanks a lot, Coach. I appreciate it. I appreciate YSN and everything you guys are doing. You know, we don't our fans that travel, you know, they're few and far in between, and you know, riding for close to 2 hours. I think we got tickets and we might have sold 12 so far. So I mean, the fan base there won't be big, but hopefully guys will get on and support us and keep rooting us on, and hopefully all the way to Canton.
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. The studio is a hopping place when the Cowboys are playing. You got a lot of people rooting for you. I know the West Side will come out and support the 999 and watch you play. Go have fun, be who you are, and let's go beat New Philly, and we'll talk next week.
Yes, sir, Coach. I appreciate you.
All righty. Have a good night.